Good day, family, and welcome to the Power Up. I'm your host, Tami Hill Thomas. Grateful you're joining us one more day, an opportunity to be equipped, educated, empowered, and elevated to make a difference throughout the world. Let's get started with Inside the News. We start today by mentioning the thousands of children who are being impacted by the war in Israel and Gaza. From the earliest days of the unprecedented hostilities in the Gaza Strip, many agencies have done their best to try to help with the immediate humanitarian crisis. The ceasefire and the aid that needs to go forward has yet to happen, and children are being abducted by the thousands and sadly killed. There are more graves right now for children who are dying first by the dozens, then the hundreds, and now the thousands. It's elevated and astounding alarm. UNICEF, who is an advocate worldwide, is continuing to report that more than 3,450 children were killed by strangulation. And sadly, the staggering numbers every day of how many young children are lost needs to be elevated as a worldwide crisis. The war is not just for that region, but definitely for the families impacted that we need to be aware of. The threats of children go beyond bombs and mortars, but the threats to children include their water and the trauma and the nourishment that they need. More than 1 million children of Gaza also have experienced deaths at an infancy rate. Dehydration because of the growing threats. How can you make a difference? Tap into unicef.org. UNICEF is a pioneer in how they not just report on statistics, give us real-time information, but share how you can help. Getting safe drinking water, just the necessities of life, is their push, and they need your help. Consider what you can do to make a difference. And then, have you noticed how discussions of wars and crises traumatize children around the world? What have you done to consider how children in our homes might be processing war and conflict? We want to share a few tips with you because children matter. Consider first, as you speak with the children around you, find out what they know. Find out how they feel. You can choose a time and place that brings them comfort. Maybe while they're playing, maybe not where it's so abrupt, but when they're in a comfortable space. But knowing where they are mentally is truly important. Also, make sure that when you speak to them, it's in a calm and age-appropriate manner. War is horrible in itself. But children surf the internet. Their friends are talking about it in school at the lunch table. So at home, we need to address it. Consider how, in an age-appropriate way, you can help them safely process any distress. Also, reassuring them becomes one of the most important ways to not only gain where they are, but to help with the compassion and removing any stigmas. It's not about bad people and evil people. It's about making sure you can give them comfort in what they need to be successful every day while knowing that they might have feelings. And then, how can they help as well? How can they focus their heart in giving to feel like they can do something to make a difference? Children are so resourceful. Many times they want to also contribute. Writing cards to local children's hospitals will give them an opportunity to do something for one of their peers who, again, is dealing with a crisis. Might not be overseas, but something they can tangibly touch to help them process, to have an act of courage and kindness. We all have to deal with wars. We have wars in our street. We have conflicts in neighborhoods. We deal with political issues, even within our own homes, within our own minds. We cannot forget the babies. What can you do to help them? We hope these tips are helpful. We also want to elevate once again the alarm by the American Red Cross, who needs blood donation and volunteers. And as you think about how you can help, remember that we're coming on the daylight savings time when you need to turn back your clock this weekend. And as you remember that extra hour of rest you're going to be able to get, also consider taking this opportunity to test your smoke alarms, your fire detectors. Run through your fire evacuation plan with your family. Consider reviewing your fire extinguisher that you can purchase at any grocery store or warehouse. I got one in my kitchen from Walmart. Easily attainable, just so that you're covered in the instance of an emergency. So turn back your clocks, but also take the time to test your smoke alarms. Replace any batteries. Don't assume they're not chirping, they're okay. Automatically replace them, because you don't want to take an opportunity at the wrong time when they died and you didn't know. Family, install smoke alarms where you don't have them. And you can certainly go to your local fire department and ask firefighters for resources, many for free. Practice your 2-minute drill, that fire escape, making sure the little babies know where to go, that if something happens, they are supposed to meet you there, just in case you can't get to them first. Sometimes, remember, while we don't plan for emergencies, they still happen. So let's go ahead and put something in place that's tangible, that can help individuals and the families, the neighborhoods know what to do in the case of a crisis. While we extend our hearts to those in Gaza and those in Israel, those in many of the war-torn countries right now, even those still experiencing wildfires and recovering from natural disasters, we also elevate that you can be a difference maker. Go to redcross.org. Donate blood. Do you know your blood platelets can save up to 7 lives? Did you know that? Just from you donating can save babies, individuals who may have been impacted by car accidents, maybe their mom giving birth. You never know how a veteran or a senior can be in need, and your blood that's the match can help save a life. Also, remember, Red Cross is in need of volunteers to step up and help in those times of crisis. redcross.org. Family, we're excited to bring you more content and a very special guest. So stay tuned. There is more after this.
What's up, family? It's your girl, Terry White Hicks of the amazing Fab Five, and I am here to tell you to tune into the Empowerment Morning Show Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the WIN Network.
Hey everybody, this is Regina Hutt, the wellness practitioner on Empowered Mornings. We'd like to invite you every Wednesday night, 8 p.m., uniquely and gorgeous, to keep your mind locked and loaded on WIN Network.
Family, welcome back. I'm your host, Tami, moving into powerful information. Get your pen, get your paper, because we're all going to grow together. The Power Up team is so glad to welcome to the platform today the amazing bank executive and financial advisor, Mr. Ken Burwell. Ken Burwell, who's based in the Atlanta area, I've witnessed has been a guest professor at a few universities and teaches throughout communities on the importance of financial health. Ken, welcome to the Power Up.
Thanks, Tammy. Greatly appreciated. Thanks to the Empowerment for inviting me. Looking forward to talking.
Absolutely. We're so excited to have you. One of the reasons our team thought it important to bring an expert like yourself is because we often forget how important health care is financially. We think about mental health, we think about our physical health, but we forget about our financial health and how important it is to plan for the future while working through right now. What have you seen that can help individuals?
Well, one of the things I'm going to piggyback on the conversation that you started earlier, talking about the children in the world, the children in the war-torn areas. The children in our own homes, they need to know a little bit about what's going on in our financial lives. That way they understand when you say no, or when you say yes, or when it's time to get, or when it's time to give. Our children are our future, and I know it's a cliche, but it's true. Our children are our future. If we don't teach them, who will? So growing up, I've realized that financial conversations are not had around the table in neighborhoods that look like ours. They should. Your child should understand. Maybe they don't know the details about how much you make or how much you spend or what each bill is, but they need to understand that you work, you have to pay bills, and while you're paying bills, this is the reasons why we can and we cannot have certain things. That will get them into the habits of saying, "Ooh, mommy, daddy, these things are going on. I understand," or "How can I help?" These are the things that in my time in banking I've understood where families say, "Hey, we're doing more conversation around budgeting. We're doing more family conversation around what we can do and what we can't do." And the understanding the amount and what's going on will do a whole lot in a child's life.
Thank you for elevating that because that's something I'll tell you. You said it. Most homes don't think about that. I grew up in the age when it was children were seen and not heard, not allowed to be part of adult business, actually forced to leave the room and the table. I remember those days watching dad write checks and not understanding. So thank you for elevating that because it does start with our generations to come. I want to ask, you are such a real community advocate. You've been a commissioner. You are certainly have so many different executive leadership skills that you share. And yet you use the opportunity to sit one-on-one with anybody who just wants advice. Where do you recommend that families start to seek financial advice?
Well, I do recommend a relationship with a bank. Whoever you bank with, I understand we're in the era of technology, online banking. Hey, I don't need to go into a branch. I can do everything on my phone. That's important, yes, because that's more convenient. But for conversations, talk to a banker. If you wanted to make the best cake in the world, you wouldn't go to a mechanic. You would go to a baker. So why would you think that just clicking on a button will give you some answers to questions that you might have, and not only answers to questions that you might have, questions that you don't even know that you know about. A banker generally does this every day, and they've spoken to folks day in and day out, and they've experienced lots of things that you might not be aware of. So speaking to a bank, your local bank, walking in and saying, "Hey, I want to open an account. I've opened an account with you. I've been banking with you for, 5 years, 8 years, or whatever. I keep doing the same thing, but looking for a different result. So let's have this conversation on how I can better, use the resources that the bank has that are available to me because I am a member of the bank, and to get myself in a financial wellness position."
Financial wellness. can I ask, is it possible at any level? Is it really as simple as 20 bucks savings? Or is it what people fear that you can only have financial wellness debt free if you have a lot of money?
Financial wellness is where you're at. Basically, if you can manage and budget where you currently are, then you can move to the next level. Most folks that I've seen are in financial, how can I put it? They're in financial shock because they're like living paycheck to 2 days before paycheck. And a lot of that is simply not knowing where their funds go. I love to tell folks, what do you think about budgeting? And everybody's like, oh, budget's a restriction. Budget means you trying to track everything I have. No, budget is just understanding where your money is going. You're paying bills. Okay, are you paying them on time? Are you paying them in a good logical format? Just to literally just get money in and send money out, get money in, send money out. You don't have a plan. That's not a plan. That's reactive instead of being proactive. Proactive is understanding, okay, here's my 10 bills. Here's my income. If I do this, this is what I have left. Now with what I have left, how do I maximize that for the month? Once you get that, then you can understand, okay, I could put $15 a month away. Understand, $15 a month over the course of a year is $180. Doesn't sound like much. Do that over 10 years, it's $1,800 that you did not literally know you were going to have. So it's again, little at a time, small changes, and just changing financial habits.
Ooh, there's that word, habits. The one that no one wants to say. The same. You want to lose that 50 pounds, got to change your eating habits. But again, this conversation is so important because many are recovering after the pandemic. Many have lost businesses and they're starting over or are living now with parents again that they were on their own, lost homes, lost savings. What are some of the initial tips that you have shared with folks who have been experiencing a financial crisis?
Well, you did touch on a thing after the pandemic, folks have changed. I've noticed a lot of folks going into entrepreneurship since the pandemic. It's opened up a whole new way of earning money. On a lot of online stores, a lot of online retailers. But if you have a traditional 9 to 5, and let's say you did move back home with parents, now your expenses could be down. But now, have you gotten the family together to understand what money is here and what we have to use? Cost of housing has gone up a lot in the past 5 years. Just had a conversation with one of my mortgage reps. Programs are out there now for folks, first-time home buyers in low to moderate income areas. They're out there. Resources are available, but if you don't ask, no one will ever tell you. You have to ask the questions.
Okay. I love these deep conversations with you because you make it so digestible where everybody can eat, where everybody can do just a little bit and see progress. Okay, so the start is to walk into a bank and meet with a financial advisor. The start sounds like to be open and honest and accepting that there might be some changes and habits that need to shift. And if we start today, I'm hearing that in a year, we should automatically see a change.
If we are diligent in what has been laid out. Again, understanding, like you said, with the workout. Sure, if we have a workout plan and we say we're going to the gym 3 days a week and we go to the gym a half a day, we're not going to get the results that we looked at. If we go to where a financial advisor says, okay, we've listed out everything, here's some things you need to change, and we make those changes, then we will be on track. But don't wait for a year to check in on it. Every 3 months, check where you are. If you are not better than where you were 3 months ago, then you might have to relook at the plan. It doesn't mean the plan isn't working. It just needs to be tweaked.
So you've consistently kicked us back to the financial plan. And just
Absolutely.
about all of your responses, it goes back to the plan. And success always ends. You can get to that victory once you cross the finish line, but you got to know you're going to run this race, and you train for the race, and you're dressed appropriate for the race. You don't just run and decide you're going to race. So
No.
making it tangible is really important. I want to share a question we received from a viewer, and I'm putting you on the spot because I didn't give this to you ahead of time. The question we received was actually from a senior. She says, I'm over 70 and lost a lot with the pandemic. It's just me. What do I do? How would you respond to that viewer?
I would respond simply by having a conversation with your financial institution. Let them know what's coming in, what's going out. Maybe we need to restructure what's going out. Maybe we need to figure out other ways that we can increase what's coming in. Are you overinsured? A lot of my seniors I see have 5, 6, 7 life insurance policies that they've had, and I'm saying, okay, I understand the coverage, but is it now taxing you today where 5 years ago you had the income to support it? So these things, if I'm not knowing what's coming in or what's going out, there's no way to make corrective actions. It's like trying to bake a cake without a recipe. If you don't know what's supposed to go in there, we're just guessing. And I'm a very staunch person on a process. If you have a plan, you can always go back and correct it. It does not have to be the final version. It's a start.
And so, okay, I want to keep going. I love that you have the immediate responses, and you mentioned you do this every day. I've witnessed you do this at executive levels. So this is what I want our audience to know. You're hearing from somebody who not only works with individuals who walk into a bank, whatever their income is, but who also helps to build companies, who also works at a very high level and has again been commissioner over other entities. So what advice would you give for those who have always thought about starting a business but aren't quite sure that they're there, holding on to that 9 to 5, and are scared to make the leap?
Don't leave your 9 to 5. I tell folks who are starting businesses, I had someone here earlier in the week that I'm in Atlanta airport, so I have folks who actually work at the airport who have startup companies. They're like, oh, I was like, no, do not leave where you work. Do not leave your 9 to 5 yet. Because what you have right now is a hobby. Get it working. When that hobby when you can afford to live without your 9 to 5, and remember, your 9 to 5 just isn't time, it's benefits, because you have insurance. So with your 9 to 5, do you have insurance covered? Do you have 401k? These things, if you're 23, the 401k doesn't mean a whole lot to you. But wait, when you turn 53, if you would have started at that 23, that 401k would look a whole lot different. So these little things, I'd say, maintain your 9 to 5 until your side or your entrepreneurship can overcome your 9 to 5 income. And banks, hold on, one other thing I have to say about that one. Banks are more apt to lend money when they know you have a guaranteed income. All right, so that 9 to 5 is a guaranteed income. Banks are more apt to lend money when you have that.
Okay, so not only have you shared information on retirement benefits, on insurance, because life insurance and all car insurance, home insurance, all the other insurances. Also, you touched on savings, mostly our financial plan, so we wouldn't have to live check to check. So you're
Correct.
telling me that anyone who walks into a bank should get a financial advisor that has knowledge to touch anything that I touch to help me develop this plan.
Absolutely. You walk into your bank and say, I would like a financial review. One thing, I do see a lot of folks who want to come in and say, hey, I want to invest. My first question is, how much do you have to invest? They say, I want to invest, I got 5,000. Next question is, how much are your monthly expenses? Monthly expenses, 3,500. Let's use 3,000 as a round number. That means you have $18,000 in savings on top of what you want to invest. Question back to me is, why do you say that? You need to have in a savings account 6 months worth of your expenses, a minimum of 6 months worth of your expenses before you start investing. Because if you don't and something happens, which could, and everybody knows things happen, you would have to go into your investment and then you start losing money because you could be paying penalties.
I need to be writing this down, Mr. Burwell. So I'm going to get on your calendar for a 101 with my financial advisor. There we go. Because you just gave a whole lot of wealth information. This is information millionaires know, right? Yeah. That if you start with 6 months of expenses before you talk about investing. Wow, thank you for sharing that tip. Okay, so before we lose you, and we're certainly going to have you come back. You agreed to work with the Power Up as one of our financial correspondents, and we thank you for that. I do want to also touch on the fact that you're the type of guy who does a lot of community work. You do, outside of finances, you're a giver, you're a big philanthropist globally, including how you impact the youth. And those who are seniors. We do have folks who struggle after the pandemic and loss and financially. There's been a lot of death, individuals who lost jobs. They were on for 20 years thinking they were going to retire from it and lost benefits, retirement, everything. Speak to the folks who might just need some encouragement or to hear from you, the man who cares about the community.
I do care about the community, especially the seniors, the veterans, me being a veteran, very, very engaged in the seniors, the veterans, and our youth. I don't, some of my peers say, hey, the youth, they have their own language, but they learned it through us and they just adapted to it. Our youth are so resourceful. They're so creative. Having conversations with them at a young age, you never know what they're going to come up with. They say that the country in 20 years is going to be different than it is today. These youths that are teenagers will be our workforce in 20 years. So if we need to have the conversation with them, and a lot of the organizations that I belong to, that's my focus. Let's get into the youth. Seniors we're taking care of as well. And of course, my military folks.
Mr. Burwell, we're so honored that you're joining us today. I do thank you for your service, absolutely, for the work you do across the country, across Atlanta, and for sharing your heart. How can folks reach out to you, or should they just walk into a local bank? And that's the advice.
I always say walk into a local bank because that person is sitting in front of you, but I can always be reached at Kenneth, KENNETH, Burwell, BURWELL, at Truist, TRUIST.com.
Awesome. Also on social media as Kenneth Burwell Family. Truist Bank is certainly amazing in the work that they're doing in the community. They elevate a lot of small businesses as well. So if you have an idea about starting a business, if you're just tired of struggling check to check and want to develop a financial plan, how about if you want to live well? I was telling someone the other day, Ken, I said, we get so caught up on just existing and forget to live and enjoy this life we have, that if you want to travel the world, go travel. It just costs money. And a financial advisor can help with that as well. Mr. Burwell, thank you so much for joining us today, sharing your expertise and your heart. Family, stay tuned. There's more after this.
Good morning. Marshall Weeks here with you on Financial Friday. Do we really believe God loves us, or are we too focused on how much we love God? Deuteronomy 31:8 tells us God will never leave us nor forsake us, meaning he will never leave us physically or neglect us emotionally. He is concerned about our physical, mental, and emotional health. So why are we distracted by short-term financial problems when we serve a long-term, permanent, solutions-oriented God? Did we reach out to him first before we borrowed the money? Did we give him the opportunity to whisper in one of his angels' ears to sponsor us or pay for us? Did we discuss the job offer with him, or did we jump at the opportunity to make an extra $2 an hour doing double the work when he gave us the business idea, wanting to grow and stretch us, fine-tune our self-discipline so we could handle the multi-million-dollar dynasty and be his channel to bless others on their life journey? How quickly are we to say without saying, "I got this, God. Let me call you back"? Then when we realize our limited vision and short-term solution cause some long-term problems. Let us not grow tired of seeking him on every financial decision, and let us never forget that our focus should always be on how much he loves us. So when our back is up against the wall, we know we have a Father who will always cause us to triumph on the other side of the challenge. We need to consider it pure joy to go through God's process on the way to financial blessings rather than to suffer the consequences of a bad financial decision. You've been empowered because you should prosper.
Welcome back, family. This is Tami, and this is National Native American Heritage Month. We want to take this opportunity to recognize American history that includes those Native Americans who were part of this land, owned this land, established this land before any Americans arrived. We honor and celebrate the rich history and culture and contributions of Native Americans to our society. Throughout the month, we encourage everyone to take the opportunity to learn about Native American history and traditions. They can involve reading books, watching documentaries, or even engaging in discussions with Native American colleagues and community members. Yes, many are our neighbors. Let's also take this chance to educate ourselves on challenges and issues Native Americans face today, possibly in the future, and how we can promote equality and understanding in our workplace and beyond. By embracing the importance of this commemoration, we show our commitment to inclusion and diversity. And it's essential that we create an environment where every individual's culture and heritage are respected and valued. Everyone should ensure that whatever you touch, everyone's feelings are seen, heard, and appreciated. Remember, we're better together from our differences than our division. So during National Native American Heritage Month, we learn how to grow as we embrace each other. We wanted to take this opportunity to highlight because many of us, through our lineage, have Native American descendants or of Native American descent. Listen, I personally am one. Having recently walked through our DNA in our family, Many different tribes, we learned, harbored a safe place for our slave ancestors. So many of us are mixed. That you have Indian in your family statement, a lot of folks used to say, yep, it's true. If you go back, you might learn that American Indians are still very vast across the nation. The Cherokees and the Lumbee tribe in North Carolina, as long as the Choctaw tribes still run prevalent throughout America, rightly so, honoring their heritage and community. What can you do to learn more? The Library of Congress is exceptional in elevating this month. You can contact Native American Heritage Month.org. You can touch base with that website to gain more knowledge, more information. The proclamation that was made by the president and a lot of the activities that might be happening in your community. Most importantly, how it's American history and that we should keep it alive and thrive. Go to Native American Heritage Month.org, .gov to get federal information from the Library of Congress. You can also tap into the National Endowment for the Humanities. They've elevated multiple ways and information that elevate how important Native American Heritage Month is, including honoring the first Native American federal judge, Diane Humitoa, and all the work that she's doing on the federal bench. How there are many declarations around Chief Standings Bears for his humanity and civil rights, the work that still needs to be elevated. Family, this month is when you can learn about Standing Bear's journey for justice. You can also learn about our history, sadly, of what much is not pleasing in land that was taken and many American natives who were slaughtered for their land. But family, knowledge is power. And what we know happened, we can correct going forward. This is an opportunity to honor and elevate. Consider joining many of the advocacy groups that can share how you can elevate your voice in addition to your awareness. Though different types of opportunities that go across the land include celebrating Indigenous people. How in August the 3rd, 1990, in the month of November, President George H.W. Bush recognized and officially made Native American Heritage Month important. Federally, it's one thing for a community to stand. It's another thing to take your voices, elevate them to Capitol Hill, and have the president enforce the need to recognize the over 600 tribes that exist in the United States. Each tribe has its own unique culture, language, foods, dances, songs, stories, beliefs, and each nation has its own sovereignty, unlike the inaccurate portrayal of Native people by the media. Get educated and learn. Did you know that North Carolina is home to at least 8 tribes? Did you know that there's recognition acts that help protect their right, that help acknowledge the land that they use and own? Family, so many ways you can be recognized. You can be a voice. You can help students and organizations on campuses be enlightened, even in local schools. National American Heritage Month. A great opportunity to learn something about your neighbor. Just because they're different, to me, opens the door to educate and let me know what we can do as a society to embrace your culture and be better together. Family, there are Native American student associations across many of the United States colleges. There are American Indian Sciences and Engineering societies and programs that honor Native American students, their tribal heritage, and the pride they bring. We're so grateful at the Power Up to take this opportunity to highlight the many, many accomplishments of our Native American heritage. I recommend, even implore, that you look at your DNA and your descendants, learn about yourself, where you come from, and then take pride in the fact that you not only are of descendant of somebody, but you get to carry that information forward. This month gives Americans dedicated time to consider the importance of contributions made by Indigenous people, to honor their histories, their struggles, and still acknowledge what they might face today. Native Americans have been confronted with discrimination and hardship since the Europeans first stepped on their land. And it remains a nationwide opportunity for observation, to elevate voting rights, and to address economic obstacles. You have the opportunity to make a difference, to elevate your awareness to those around you so that the fight continues. The young folks know what's going on so that as they grow older, they continue to educate generations and to care. The Library of Congress, once again, directs you to National American Heritage Month, Native American Heritage Month.gov, where you can get real-time resources. And also consider the National Endowment for the Humanities, NEH.gov. We're all better together, differences and all, because remember, it's just the skin and our experiences that make us different. But inside, under the skin, we all have the same hearts, the same blood. We just need each other to survive. Family, we hope this information was helpful as we honor our Native Americans' contribution to the American history. Stay tuned. We're going into our wrap up. There's more after this.
Hi, guys. It's Tina Wynn, your host of the podcast, You See Me. I want you guys to stay encouraged, continue to come out and see me, and most importantly, see yourselves. Remember, the only way that you can truly enjoy life is to see other people so that you can enjoy the beauty of seeing yourself. Come join me Saturdays at 4 on the We Empowered Network. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Power Up. As we move into our wrap up, we must once again elevate the need for you to share your voice. Family, we're still facing a potential lapse in government funding, a government shutdown. Your voices matter because you voted and put those who represent the nation into Congress. How can you help? Make your anger heard, elevate the need to not shut down parks, to make sure our military is funded, to help ensure that our senior programs and those for the youth continue to be funded. We ask that you reach out to your senators, your congressmen, those you stood in line to cast a ballot to put into office. Elevate, call them, contact them, and let them know it's not okay. Go to senate.gov and you can find your senator in your area and their contact information. Did you know you can also go to house.gov to locate your representative in the House of Representatives. Both of those websites will help you identify who in your district, who is the one you need to write to or call or advocate to so that federal funding can continue. There's too many individuals throughout the land that depend on our tax dollars being used appropriately. Federal funding goes to support Meals on Wheels, goes to support after school programs, goes to support fixing construction throughout our highways and byways. Also goes to help with grant money for nonprofits, even our hospitals that are often federally funded. A lapse could impact not just state parks, which is sad in itself, but federal employees who are your neighbors, those who pour into society and the community around you, those who rely on the services that are paid for with federal dollars. We need you to elevate your voice. There was a continuing resolution put in place, temporary funding. At this point, we need the funding to be made permanent. We need the budget passed by the House, passed by the Senate, and then approved by our president. Family, please take a moment and advocate, elevate. Let them know enough is enough. You voted them in, you can vote them out. Go to senate.gov to identify your senator and house.gov to identify your representative so that they hear your voice and make a difference. We want to end our show today with a hero spotlight. We want to take this opportunity to acknowledge and elevate a Milwaukee County Transit System bus driver, Miss Cecilia Nation Gardner. Family, the reason this story is so important is because oftentimes we only hear the heroes or tell our kids about the Superman and Wonder Women and those that they want to put on a pedestal. But there are everyday men and women who put themselves in harm's way in a moment's notice. And Miss Cecilia did just that. Miss Cecilia, as she was driving her bus, noticed a little boy who was running through traffic after he wandered away from a school playground. Yeah, after the class left the play area to go in school, he wandered away. Thank goodness Miss Cecilia was there. She pulled her bus over and ran into traffic. The videos, you can Google this, show how cars were coming from every which way. She stopped, ran into traffic, picked up the baby, put him on her bus, and waited for law enforcement to arrive. Would you selflessly, instantaneously jump in to help someone else? Well, let me tell you something. Thank you, Miss Cecilia, who had the opportunity to meet the little boy's mom, who, other than the fact that she's not happy with the school losing her son, was so grateful that someone stopped what they were doing, their job, to run and put themselves in harm's way. Sadly, not only could the boy have been hit, but Miss Cecilia, for real, for 2 minutes journey into and out of traffic to get this little boy. And she said, when interviewed, why? She said, I ended up leaving my layover 2 minutes later than usual. That's why I saw I was in the right place at the right time. It meant for me to be there. God does everything for a reason. End quote by Miss Cecilia. Family, you are a superhero. You make a difference to those you may never meet. Sometimes your positive energy will rub off on somebody that changes their whole day. You know, I used to walk around and say, I'm not saying good morning to people because they don't say good morning back. Once I fell in love with me and became confident with me and started loving me and my personality and being bigger than life, I learned that my saying hello to others is dropping seeds of positivity. It's not for me to plant a lot of times and for me to see it grow into a flower, but it might just be that that person then says good morning to somebody else. And good morning to somebody else. That person might be walking into a board meeting where they were not happy. They left with stuff at home and it might have totally changed their day. Where they walk in and say, good morning. You never know how your act of kindness can totally change an atmosphere. That's why paying it forward is so important. How often do you stand behind someone in a line looking for change, struggling, trying to get what they need for groceries, knowing that God has blessed you with more than enough to be a blessing? See, because when we make actions of faith, when we walk in help, we reap what we sow. Think about it that way. The kindness you give to a senior now will be the kindness someone gives to you when you're frail and aging. The kindness we show to others is what will come back to us. And I have this for you. They say there's such a thing as the law of attraction. That when you're nice, people who are nice want to be part of your nice committee. They want to be team nice, so they want to be part of the things that you're involved in because of your energy. Not saying it's always easy, but we can be intentional about how we use that action word love. See, because if you only give it and do it to get something back, you're the one that's always going to be disappointed because you can't hold expectations for other people. Miss Cecilia did not ask permission to park her bus, jump out, run into traffic, grab that baby. She did not stop and even think about, do I need to do this? What could happen to me? Oh, let me average and figure out if this is. She did not. She acted because of a need that needed to be met, because of another human life. We often share hero spotlights of individuals. We shared one recently of a young man who jumped in the water to save ladies he saw the car weave off the bridge and jumped out there. And then the police officer jumped out to help, and the young man ended up jumping back out to save the police officer. Would you have done that? Or would you have said, man, it's too cold. It's dark out here. I can't see what's in that water. Or would you care so much that you throw caution to the wind? Here's the thing. Sometimes your hero-ness isn't even that big. It might not be running into traffic. It might not be jumping into water. It might just be kindness, caring, those positive words that you can help lift someone else. And I'll tell you this, most of the time, especially for children, it's time. Are you taking the time? Because that's a way of showing that you care. Or are you the one that, nope, sorry, can't, nope, I gotta, nope. See, I'm busy. Folks who know me know I'm busy. I'm on 1,000 24/7 because that's my energy. God gives me so much and I can't wait. I've got things I'm thinking of and I just want to leave this world empty when I go. So I'm enjoying all that life has for me to do. However, as I coach others, as I mentor others, as an advisor, whether executives or whether family, that time and space becomes more important than anything. You made time for me. Family, can you be a hero to someone today? Not for hero worship, not for somebody to tell you you all that and get, because for real, if that's what you're doing it for, that's glory. That's for you. That doesn't help that person. But if you're doing it selflessly, if you're doing it because you want the world to be a better place, if you're doing it because you believe that I am created so that I can be a difference maker, Come on, somebody. So I can be a change agent. So I can help someone else. There's a song that my grandma used to sing. And it says, if I can help somebody as I travel on, if I can help somebody with a word or a song, if I can help somebody who's doing wrong, then my labor is not in vain. I believe I also heard the amazing vocalist of our ancestors singing that as well. Family, you can have any of your actions be worth more than money. You can have things that's in your heart be so much bigger than accolades. We live in a society where folks got to see us doing it, where it's more important to be famous, where we don't want to stand in the room of what's wrong and say what's right for fear of judgment. Time out for all of that, because the world needs you. You. All that you're created to do, including your voice, your passion, your heart, your differences, how your music might be different, how your vibe is different, how you flow different. Family, we need everything that's you. Because right now is why you're here. Information age, things you can do at the thumbprint, things that you can do, get done quickly. Most importantly, things you can do to make a difference. Family, our show today included elevating the children of Gaza, who sadly have died by the thousands since this war began a few weeks ago. Not the dozens and the hundreds, the thousands. We must continue to extend our hearts to those families who are around us who have family there. I can only imagine. We must also make sure to remember how to speak to our children about conflict and war, making sure that we acknowledge they might be seeing the news, sitting at the lunch table talking about it, and they may have feelings that's important to acknowledge, recognize, and comfort, and then give them an outlet. So what would you like to do? Let's make a difference. Let's write cards and send them to kids who are in the hospital. Let's figure out how we can give back and donate. Would that help you? How can we acknowledge where they are, converse on their level, age appropriate, acknowledging their space, and then giving them comfort and an action to go forward with? Remember also that the American Red Cross continues to put out the need for volunteers and blood donors. If you're looking for some amazing way to be a hero, there you go. All you have to do is lay on a table and extend your arm. You can save 7 lives just from your blood platelets. Family, consider what you can do, not making excuses for what you can't. Remember to turn back your clocks. Also, remember to change the batteries in your smoke detectors. Important that you have your fire plan. We also had the opportunity to share our space with the amazing Ken Burwell, a bank executive and financial advisor, who shared financial well-being starts with a plan. Go into your bank and consider speaking to the experts so that you can be better this time next year. Thank you, Ken, who you will all see again. And then we went to acknowledge Native American Heritage Month. Take time to be educated, to learn traditions, and to love no matter what they are. And thank you, Miss Cecilia, for putting your life in harm's way to save someone else. Family, use your voice to contact Senate.gov and House.gov to make sure we prevent this looming government shutdown, because you have the power to make a difference. We'll see you next time.